Hi guys, Michelle from Petee's Power Hour here, and another fun little blog entry. Yay! Today I just kind of wanted to rant a little bit about bitters. I feel like they don't get enough appreciation. There's so much curiosity and unknowns about bitters, so why not talk about it for one hot second? Why not? So a couple years ago, when I was really into like making my own stuff, I mean, not that I am anymore, but I was really into it. I got this book called Bitters by Brad Thomas, what's his name? Brad Thomas Parsons. I think it was like 15, 20 bucks on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. This is a fabulous book. It teaches you, one, how you do using different cocktails with bitters and such like that, but mostly how to make your own bitters, if that's something you want to get into. Bitters are pretty much aromatic elixirs, like so much of alcohol is, that is used with a lot of herbs and stuff like gentian and black root and black licorice stuff and bay leaves and all sorts of like 100 different types of herbs that you can use to make bitters. So this teaches you how to do it. It's really cool. When I was making bitters, I made a pomelo bitter, which was really cool. I just used pomelo rind and a bunch of other like grapefruit kind of deal stuff to make it, as well as a normal kind of Angostura style bitter, which I have right here. Angostura bitters is probably the most famous. It's not necessarily cheap. This thing does come at like 15, 20 bucks a bottle sometimes, and you're like, damn, that's a lot for this tiny little ass bottle. But you do a little goes a long way. Smell your bitters, figure out what it kind of smells like. Very woody, oaky, medicinal. So the way I like to taste bitters is just literally put it on your finger and look like I'm bleeding, and then just give it a little taste. Delicious. No, not really. Bitters are actually kind of gross when you taste them by themselves. Again, they're really bitter, but this one has like cherry notes to it with the dark wood. Angostura bitters you typically have used in like Manhattans and old fashions. That kind of dark cherry and dark wood notes that you get from Angostura classically go really well with a bourbon or whiskey style drink. I've even used it before in some tequila drinks. If I'm making like a tequila or mezcal old fashioned, I will use that. Another famous one is the Peychaud bitters aromatic cocktail mix. Peychaud and Angostura are probably the oldest brands right now in existence. They were made in the late 1800s. They were pretty much in competition with each other. Peychaud's being a little bit different recipe than Angostura. Peychaud's has a little bit, as you can see, more red in the color. Like, look at that. This is like, I mean, I'm looking like I'm bleeding, but this is like a more red, very medicinal. Yeah, it's got that cherry medicine flavor note to it. Definitely on the nose. And you definitely get that on the palate. Oof. This one is cheaper than the Angostura one, probably because it doesn't go through as much wood as the Angostura does. Wood usually is a flavoring agent that adds more price. But Peychaud's I would use as a substitute if you didn't have Angostura, because Angostura is a little bit more on the expensive side. But Peychaud bitters I can use in like, you know, even old fashions, Manhattans, very similar stuff to the Angostura. You're just going to get a different kind of flavor profile to it depending on what you're looking for. Again, Angostura being the most classic. So those two being our base, then you get into the whole nother world of everything and anything can be made into a bitter. For example, we have black walnut bitters from Fee Brothers. Fee Brothers is a really famous producer. They make all sorts of different kinds. They're pretty affordable too. You can find them on Amazon. It has this like kind of Christmassy smell to it, that kind of like clovey walnut note to it. I love it. I actually use this when in the holidays we make a concoction in the house. It's a simple syrup made with cloves, cinnamon, star anise, a little bit of orange rind, sugar, and water, and that's sort of like the simple syrup. It's like the holiday simple syrup, we call it, and then adding black walnut, using that concoction, making sort of like a holiday old fashioned. Pretty cool. Lots of black walnut, pretty sweet as well. It's much more sweeter than the Peychaud or the Angostura. Angostura being a little bit sweeter, like Peychaud's is super dry. But yeah, you're using kind of things like that. Fee Brothers again, orange bitters. Orange bitters I typically use on a little bit lighter cocktails, gin and tonic, tequila. I can make it with, add a little bit in your margarita, add a little bit more orangey bitterness to it, adds a little nice depth of flavor. Random ass one I have is lavender bitters. This is from Jack Rudy. With Jack Rudy, I really love their grenadines and their tonic waters. I think some of the best tonic waters you can find on the market. This one's really cool. I've used it in my gin and tonics before. It adds a nice little extra florality to it, but I haven't really used it outside of that. Like I need to play around with it more because it's really like lavender is such a unique flavor. I don't want to, like, you know, it's hard to find those kind of different cocktails into it. And people are like, oh, what do you use it for? I'm like, I don't know. I just throw shit in there. Who knows? So Bittermens is my last one that I have here. This is their burlesque bitters. I love this producer. They make really great stuff. They have a chili one that's really good that I used to have a bottle, but I used it all. I would use it a lot with like mezcal cocktails with the chili and the smoky and spicy. Ooh, it was excellent. But what I love about this, as well as the Jack Rudy, they come in droppers. So you can have it like put little drops on top of your cocktail as like a finishing garnish. It makes it really sexy. Makes you feel really fancy. But yeah, these bitters, very similar to the Angostura. Ooh, yeah, definitely oaky and got that cherry oaky notes to it. But if you do decide like, hey, that'd be really cool, making your own bitters, it's really easy. I did it. All you do is just get a high grain neutral alcohol, like 150 proof kind of stuff that's gonna like blow hair off your chest, and grab a ton of different types of herbs. This book, Bitters, helps list them all out. I really highly recommend this, as well as for its cocktails. I found it as a really good cocktail reference book as well, like making an Angostura fizz, even getting ideas like if you're out drinking or you're having a cocktail and you don't want to get too plastered or anything, or if you just want like a nice little fizzy drink, you get club soda and put a bunch of bitters in your glass, and that's like a bitter kind of concoction that's kind of good for the tummy, because all of these things in these bitters are things that are like good for your digestion. So fun little like, ooh, you feel like you're having a fancy cocktail because you're adding bitters to it, but it's, you know, not really non-alcoholic because they are made with high grain neutral alcohol. But you're just using tiny drops, so it's okay. This, though, is with the vessel that I had whenever I made bitters out of it. Right now it has absinthe in it because I don't really like absinthe. And if I'm using absinthe in the cocktail, I just use a couple drops because I don't like black licorice. But yeah, taste your bitters, because I feel like nobody's really tasted them before and they just put them in the cocktails kind of blindly. Like, I find it kind of fun, you know, taste what you're putting into your cocktail to get that extra depth of flavor. So that's my rant. That's my vlog for the day. Thanks, guys. Check out Petee's Power Hour. I put more effort than that into these, so I'll put link in the description. Yay. Bye.